Hello, it's Concord Wind. Um, you know, my friend and sister in Christ commented on my last video telling me not to give up and, the you never know when growth will happen. And then I talked to my mom about it and she said, she's right. You never know when growth will happen. I mean, it can happen at very unexpected times. And she said it could take years. And I'm like, well, I don't have years worth of content. Like I can't produce years worth of content. Because even though this book is big and everything, but I don't mean any disrespect to God, but a lot of the words in this book, a lot of the passages, a lot of the chapters in this book are like beginner stuff. And I wouldn't use the word unnecessary. I really don't want to use the word unnecessary because all of God's words are necessary, but because God doesn't do anything that's unnecessary. But like the beginner words, like I feel like I've done a good job on my channel of summarizing the main points of all the beginner types of stuff. And so I don't really feel any need to go over it in depth, like actually reading the passages and stuff. I don't see the need for that. I feel like I've summarized it all pretty well. But I guess I could go over the same things again, just like I'm doing with my revisiting the story of Job series. I guess I could go over some of the same stuff again. Um, I just go over what I consider to be the most important things because I know I can't get a lot of people to pay attention to me and watch this channel. So I just want to put the most important stuff out there so that the people who do watch are able to get the most important and valuable information. And like, I want every episode to be important. Not that, and I don't like the way I'm wording this because like all of God's words are important, but like I just, some things are like essential. Like the story of Job is essential, and God's breakdown of the story of Job is essential because that's the key to salvation, basically. I mean, you know, Peter walked the path of Job. He was crucified upside down for the sake of God, and he went through many trials and tribulations just like Job did. Um, I'm not sure of the severity. I know like the crucifixion of Peter was a very severe trial. Um, but I'm not sure of the severity of his other trials. There's not any specific details of the like content of those trials. But Peter walked the path of Job, and so when God talks about Peter's path is the only path, um, we can understand Peter's path better by understanding the path that Job walked because Peter walked Job's path. It was the same path, like that's why Job returned to the right hand of God after he died. Got to sneeze. Oh, it went away. I always feel cheated when I feel like I have to sneeze and I don't. um, so yeah, walking the path of Peter is very important. You know, um, I had 300 milligrams of caffeine, but not really quite that much because I've thrown up so much that I don't think I absorbed all 300 milligrams, but I'm still feeling it much more than the coffee. I think maybe because of the B vitamins and the energy drinks or something. Because I had energy drinks this morning or today. I don't know what time it is. I got up late today. Got up at like 12. Even though I went to bed at 9, still got up late. I don't know why I slept so much. Guess I just really needed a lot of sleep for some reason. It's weird. But yeah, I had the energy drinks. Had a Red Bull and an Alani. So that's where the 300 comes from because the Red Bull was 114 milligrams and the Alani was 200. So like 314. But I probably only absorbed um, maybe like 180 of that 300, which I stopped throwing up. And I do this with the coffee. And I was wondering if I was going to do this with the energy drink. I take a Carafate, which Carafate coats the throat and stomach and protects it from acid. And supposedly the caffeine makes me throw up because it produces acid in my body. But I had a pecan pie the other day that gave me really bad heartburn. And the heartburn was so bad, it was waking me up because I was like choking on the heartburn, on the acid. I was like choking on the acid and coughing and coughing up acid and stuff. But I wasn't throwing up. And I wasn't really coughing up acid. I mean, I did once, but like I wasn't throwing up. It was just acid coming up. And so, like, the reaction that I have to something that gives me heartburn is very different from the reaction that I have to caffeine. So, I find it hard to believe that the caffeine makes me throw up because of acid. I find that very hard to believe because that's not what I've experienced. I've experienced that things that give me acid just give me really bad heartburn. And caffeine, for whatever reason, makes me throw up. So, I don't know what's up with that. It's weird. But I was high on caffeine, you know, and well, I'm still high on caffeine, but like earlier, I was feeling very talkative, talking to my mom and stuff, and like I always do this, like they talk about like drunk texting. Well, I do caffeine texting, like I start apologizing to people I've wronged in my life, like when I'm high on caffeine, like like I start texting my exes and stuff when I'm high on caffeine, and um, I don't know why it affects me so much. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, which it says right on the cans of these drinks, that if you're sensitive to caffeine, don't drink it or whatever. Like, I don't know why it says that. I mean, I kind of enjoy the way it makes me feel sometimes. I don't see any problem with it. The only problem I see is the throwing up, which is that's not normal. Most people don't experience that, and I haven't. I didn't always experience it my whole life. I've drank caffeine my whole life. I only started throwing up from it recently, which I just see it as like a trial, like I love things that make me feel different. I always have, like drugs and alcohol and caffeine and nicotine, which nicotine doesn't really affect me anymore. But anything that makes me feel different, I've always enjoyed, and so it seems to be that that's how God is judging me. Um, he's judging my enjoyments by he's like testing my obedience and loyalty to God by he's like taking away my enjoyments for the most part, like or making it harder to enjoy those things and seeing if I'll still be loyal to him and obey him or if I'll complain against him. And it's a test and it's a refinement. And if at first I complain, eventually I get used to it. And then I stop complaining. And then I learn that there's no point in complaining, that sometimes God takes things away from us and we shouldn't complain when he does. Because a complaint against God is like a permanent stain on your soul to never be washed clean. It's like it's a permanent blemish on your soul. It's very wrong to complain against God. It's a big deal to complain against God. It may not seem like a big deal because it just seems like words. It just seems like you're just speaking words. But Satan hears those words, and Satan will use those words as the evidence to condemn you when you're brought before God. Satan will say, well, hold on. This person doesn't need to go to heaven because they're unrighteous. Like, look at this, this, and this. Look at all this evidence. And because God is righteous, it will see this evidence that Satan has brought before him. And God will judge the person as unrighteous and they won't be able to go to heaven as a result, and so that's how that whole process works. And God wants to save people. And that doesn't mean if like I've had complaints in the past, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to go to heaven or whatever. It just means that I have to improve from that point going forward and not make complaints again. And because you can fail trials, and that's fine as long as you pass the trials of the future. Um, Hold on. Whoops! It paused and I'm all right. I'm back. Anyways, like I was talking to my mom today, the best trials are trials of near death experiences. And it doesn't have to be a real near death experience as long as it's real enough for you, as long as you experience it as a near death experience. It doesn't have to be a real near death experience. Like, for example, a lot of people, when they smoke marijuana, they panic and feel like they're dying. And you're not really going to die from smoking marijuana, but that is a near death experience. Like, it's not a real near death experience, but it's real enough that you still gain the enlightenment and revelations that would come from a real near death experience. Like, you benefit from it just the same. That's my experience anyways. And ever since 2022, marijuana has not affected me the same way. You know, it can still cause, panic if I haven't smoked it in a while, which I don't smoke marijuana, but I used to. But if I hadn't smoked it in a while and then smoked it, like it could cause like panic and stuff. Um, just like or uneasy feelings or whatever. It still, wasn't very similar to how it made me feel before 2022. I think when I overdosed on Depakote in 2022. Sorry, I keep picking up my lip. Um, when I overdosed on Depakote in 2022, like I'm not very professional, am I? I'm sorry. I'm just very real with it, very authentic. Um, I don't hide nothing really, except for my porn addiction. I do kind of hide that, um, but I'll talk about it, But so I'm not really hiding it necessarily. I just like it's the same as using the bathroom. I'm not going to do it in public or anything, but like I will talk about it, Anyways, yeah, ever since I overdosed on Depakote in 2022, like my body chemistry has changed. And I, like my THC receptors have been affected by that overdose, I guess, because like the way I experience THC now is very different from how I used to experience THC. Before 2022, to enjoy THC, it only took a little bit of THC. I didn't need much THC at all to enjoy it. And now I would have to smoke a lot of very potent THC to enjoy it. And it's not a tolerance thing, it's just the way it affects me is very different. It's almost like there is like a barrier on my brain where I have to like break through that barrier by smoking a lot of THC, which I didn't have that barrier before. But now that I have that barrier, a little bit of THC doesn't bypass the barrier, so I just feel uncomfortable. But if I smoke a lot of THC, it bypasses that barrier and I can feel it more, almost more normally. It's still not the same as how I experienced it before 2022, but it's more similar to how I experienced it before than if I were to just smoke a little bit. And that's the only way I can enjoy it. But if I just smoke a lot of it at once when I haven't done it in a while, don't give me kind of like a panicky or guilty feeling, and um, a little paranoid and stuff. And like, I usually have to like take a shower and listen to hymns and talk to God and try to get through it the best I can, you know. Um, and sometimes, I benefit from that type of experience, and sometimes I don't. It's, hit or miss with that type of thing. Um, anyways, going back to what I was saying about the caffeine, um, I like text people when I'm high on caffeine, and I make videos when I'm high on caffeine because I get very talkative. And oh, my eye's so itchy. That's how I itch my eye. I just rub it. I don't scratch, which it works. It works. Should just rub it. Anyways, like I was texting my friend Devin, which me and Devin kind of had a falling out because I called him retarded and he really didn't like that, and he um just laid into me, through text, talking about my disability and everything, which was a really low blow, and I still haven't got an apology from him for that. But I made sure to apologize to him as immediately afterwards because I knew that like his ego or his feelings or whatever was hurt, and that's not what I was trying to do. I wasn't, I was just trying to get him to see himself differently because he's got a lot of pride in himself, and I feel like that pride is unwarranted. You know, there's no reason for him to have the pride that he has because just like anybody else, he's got his flaws, and his flaws are pretty severe. They're pretty abnormal. It's not like, you know, the typical flaws of just like, being arrogant or being greedy or being selfish. His flaws are like, pretty severe. He does some things that are out of the order. I can't really talk about it because I don't want to get him in trouble. Um, but he does some things that he really shouldn't be doing. And I can talk about one of those things, like drinking. He's had pancreatitis like 5 or 6 times, and he still keeps drinking. And pancreatitis is extremely painful, and it still hasn't, like stopped him from drinking, which is crazy to me. And I get that he has anxiety and he drinks to get rid of the anxiety. But I've told him he needs to go to a doctor and get on anti anxiety meds because, that's not going to give him pancreatitis. Like, alcohol isn't the answer. But, like, I understand it's hard to see a doctor out where he is because he lives in like a big city. But, like, I mean, still, you got to put in effort. Like, you got to, like, I mean, like, I waited like a year and a half to get this apartment. And, you know, I put in the effort to fill in the application and get on the waiting list. And um, my hair is crazy. I put in the effort and I'm thankful I did, even though it took a while. And that's all he's got to do is put in the effort to make the appointment. And he might have to wait a while, but it'll be worth worth it once he's able to get on those meds. And so yeah, I texted his mom and was like, I'm sorry. I was apologizing for different things. Like I said some inappropriate things to her and her daughter in 2017 because I was like, I wasn't on any medication and I was out of my mind and I had no self control at all and I wasn't thinking clearly. And I texted her and her daughter like on Facebook, or I messaged them or whatever, some inappropriate things. I don't even remember what I said, but I just apologized for that because I never got the chance to apologize to her for that. So I apologized for that, and I apologized for driving a wedge between her and her son when I got Devin to, you know, believe in this book, you know, um, which he only believed for a couple of months. But it drove a wedge between him and his mom because he was new and he didn't know how to handle family. And it was like he was starting over. And, and like I should have corrected him, but I wasn't like 100% sure about things myself because I saw the way that I did things. And I did tell him, you just talk about other things with your mom. like you don't talk about God because obviously you guys disagree on things about God. And that's what I do with my mom. Me and my mom don't really talk about God. And when we do, like, we just hear the other one out and don't argue. And I don't know. And I was just scared to correct him because I was afraid of pushing him away from God. And then I also, so I told her all that. And then I also told her to tell Devin that I'm sorry for calling him retarded, because like I didn't mean to hurt his feelings, or hurt his ego or whatever, which I didn't say ego because I feel like that's going a bit too far, as far as like it's kind of judgy, I mean, it probably was his ego that got hurt, but I'm not going to tell his mom that because like I want it to be like a real apology. I don't want to like shift the blame on him or whatever. Um, and yeah, I mean that's it. I mean that's what I texted her, and so hopefully she reads the message and tells him what's going on because he won't read my messages now. Like I don't know if he blocked me or what, but like I know shortly after my mom blocked him for what he said to me, he stopped texting me. It's like, oh, if you're gonna make your mom block me, then like um, I'm not gonna talk to you. It's weird, but I had his mom's number because he gave me his mom's number, and ugh, my hair. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I don't know why I care about what my hair looks like. I'm not even. I mean, I'm not even a good looking guy, so it doesn't matter what my hair looks like. It's not gonna. If my hair looked good, it wouldn't make me look any better. Like I guess I'm not like the most ugliest person on the planet, but I wouldn't be anybody's first choice. Just going by looks. Like as far as personality and like principles and disposition and ideology, if women were to evaluate my character, um, I would be up there. Like I would be pretty high up there on the list. Um, and that's because of God. That's because of the work God has done on me. Like God has done a lot of work on me, and I'm very thankful for the work that He's done on me. Like He's been working on me my whole life, really, but especially starting in 2017 is when His work picked up, and I started experiencing brand new things. My perspective was constantly changing, and so yeah, I'm very thankful for the work that God has done on me to change me and make me a better person. I don't have a lot of opportunity to practice the truth. This is my sole outlet for practicing the truth is this channel, and there's not much, if any, opportunity outside of this channel to practice the truth. Um, so it was hard when I made the video yesterday about retiring my channel. That was really hard on me to do because um, This channel is like so important to me. I was about to say this channel is all I've got, but actually God is all I've got. Which if I've got God, I've got everything I need, but still, this channel is my opportunity to practice the truth for God, to serve God, spread the gospel, give people principles of practice to utilize in their lives so that they can, you know, um, live better lives. Like, the quality of your life improves as you practice the truth. And you shouldn't practice the truth for the sake of improving the quality of your life. Like, the fact that your quality of life improves is just like a byproduct, it's just like a bonus. You should practice the truth for the sake of obeying God, for the sake of satisfying God, for the sake of submitting to God. That should be your intention. And that's my intention, but I just find that, just as God's words say, the more I love God, the more I feel the joy of life. And, that's so true for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people. There was a reason why Jesus made loving God the first and greatest commandment. And it's because God wants people to be happy. He wants to bring people salvation. And he knows that if people love him, then they'll be happy and they'll be given salvation. And so I just want God's will to be done. And it circles back around to being happy and having salvation because that's God's will. But I wouldn't want it if it wasn't God's will. I would want to just be destroyed and turned to ashes if that's what God's will was. And if ever he changes his mind, I'll change my mind too, because like I just want to submit to him because I know he's so good. And even if like his desires and intentions are different from our desires and intentions, like I still want to submit to him, and that should be how all of us should be that way. You know, um, I know I shouldn't, but I think I'm gonna have a cup of coffee after that 300 milligrams of caffeine because I don't think I absorbed all that caffeine. So I'm gonna have a cup of coffee. So let me pause this. I'm gonna use the bathroom and then make a cup of coffee. So hold on. Hey, we're at the coffee station in the kitchen. I guess I'm gonna do this flavor, which is like mochaccino. It tastes like chocolate instant breakfast. It's pretty much what it tastes like. Um, so that's the flavor we're gonna do. I guess I'll pause it while it brews. It turned out darker than it normally does. Like look at this. Uh, can you see that? Yeah, it came out darker than normal. But I do 6 ounces, and which fills up the mug about halfway. Then I fill it the rest of the way with cold water to cool it down, so I can drink it immediately. So I'm gonna go do that. All right, I got my coffee. Been sipping on it, and I hit my vape while sipping on it. But I didn't record that part. I don't want to vape on camera because I don't want to be a bad influence. I mean, vaping really, it's kind of a negative thing because it could potentially cause damage to the lungs. It's not been proven. There's no evidence to suggest it causes damage to the lungs. It's significantly less carcinogenic than cigarettes. Hold on. I've done so good about not throwing up, but I just had to drink another cup of coffee. Just finished the cup, threw up, and it's like I really have self control problems. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Yeah, before I left, I said I got self control problems. I really do. I mean, I had the Carafate, so that makes me feel a little bit better because the Carafate coats the throat and stomach and protects it against acid and stuff. So I feel a little bit better about throwing up knowing I had the Carafate. um, but it's still not fun to throw up. Like, it's not fun. But hopefully I absorbed some of that caffeine. I don't know if I did. I definitely think I feel it. But the caffeine in those coffees, in those cappuccino coffees, is different from the caffeine and energy drinks. And I think I kind of feel it. It does feel different. Um, it's more of like a downer than a stimulant, like, or upper, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's like the caffeine from those cappuccinos is more of a downer for sure, which is weird. But mixed with the energy drink, it's like tolerable, I guess. I mean, I'm starting to feel some anxiety. I think I definitely absorbed some of that caffeine. Now I've had like too much. 380 milligrams. I don't know, but I feel like I'm not absorbing it. I mean, I don't know, but I guess I am absorbing it because I'm starting to get anxiety. And like normally, caffeine makes me very clear headed, but those cappuccinos make me kind of muddled. Um, I don't even remember what I was talking about before I like stopped the video or whatever. um, what else can I talk about? I shouldn't have had that coffee. Oh my goodness gracious. They put something in that coffee. That that is very strange. That is very strange. I was fine and then I drank the coffee, and I hope it doesn't affect my sister that way because I originally got it for her for Christmas, and I'm gonna be getting another box of it for Christmas since I kept this box. um, yeah, I don't know. This is starting to go. Um, I don't have as much to say as I did earlier. I don't know if it's the coffee or what, but it's just weird the way things affect me. Like, it's so strange. So strange. Like, alcohol doesn't affect me at all. I could drink a 24 pack of beer and feel nothing. Like, I might throw up, but I won't feel drunk. I won't get the spins. I won't, like, nothing, you know? And then, of course, like, THC affects me so differently. It's so strange. Caffeine affects me so differently. And different kinds of caffeine are like whether it's fresh or old or I don't know. Like caffeine is weird. Like B vitamins affect me weird, I guess. I don't know. I can't figure out my body. My body is very strange. I can't figure it out. Like, I don't know. I don't know. um, what else can I talk about? Um, I'm drawing a blank. I'm so sorry. I wanted this video to be long. I mean, it's already been 40 minutes, but I'm feeling so talkative. I mean, after that coffee, I'm not feeling as talkative. I'm feeling whoa, whoa. Yeah, I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling weird. That coffee is so weird. I really don't understand it. I really don't. It's very strange. Um, what else can we talk about? I don't know. I got this Living in Gratitude limited edition kombucha bottle. It was full of kombucha, but I drank it. Now I'm just using it for like water. I put water and monk fruit and lemon, and I shake it, close the lid and shake it and drink that. And since it's a smaller bottle than the bottle I usually use, um, it makes the lemon and monk fruit more like concentrated, and so it tastes like lemonade. It's really good, and it's a glass bottle instead of plastic, so I don't have to worry about like BPA or whatever. Man, I've got a lot of anxiety. I know my back's starting to hurt. My back's been bothering me lately. Um, guess where I'm just getting older, or maybe I hurt my back at the gym, or I don't know. But my lower back has been bothering me, and it's when I'm active because when I was younger and I worked at McDonald's, like my lower back bothered me, and I think it's because I was active. Like the more active I am, the more my lower back bothers me. Because like when I just like bed rot and don't do anything, my lower back doesn't bother me, but when I'm more active and going to the gym, walking and stuff like that, like it starts to flare up my lower back. They say being active is good, but and I guess it is, but I don't know. It flares things up. All right. Yeah, I got to use the bathroom, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Um, I don't really have anything else to say. So God bless and goodbye. Thank you for watching. If you watched, I don't know if anybody watched this, but we'll find out. So goodbye.